Tonight, we talk about something that should honestly concern a lot of Americans because overnight, the federal government shut down the airspace over a major U.S. city, El Paso, Texas. Not for an hour, not for weather, not for a crash. They said it would last 10 days. 10 days. And then 7 hours later, they lifted it. And now the explanations don't match. So, what actually happened in El Paso? Here's the original article. Officials claim drone incursion led to shutdown of El Paso airport. The official explanation from the transportation secretary and White House was that Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace. That's serious. If cartels are flying drones into American airspace and triggering federal shutdowns, that's a big deal. But here's where things start to fall apart. The FAA initially said it would last 10 days to close the airspace for 10 days. You don't shut down a major city's airport for 10 days unless there's a massive security threat. El Paso is not a small airport. It serves West Texas and parts of New Mexico. Medical flights use it. Business travel depends on it. There's no nearby major airport for hundreds of miles. A 10-day shutdown would cost millions and disrupt thousands of lives. And then, 7 hours later, the FAA says there's no threat to commercial aviation. All flights will resume as normal. Now wait, so which is it? Was there a cartel breach serious enough to isolate a major American city? Or was there no threat at all? Those two things don't live in the same sentence. Now, according to Mayor Raynard Johnson, this shutdown should never have happened. You cannot restrict airspace over a major city without coordinating with the city, the airports, the hospitals, etc. Start right there, hospitals. Medical evacuation flights were forced to divert to another city 45 miles away. That's not minor inconvenience. That's real risk. And according to local officials, they were blindsided by this. No warning, no coordination, no explanation. That's not how federal security decisions are supposed to work. What's the real reason? Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, right? Two officials briefed on the situation say the shutdown wasn't because of cartel drones at all. They say the military was testing new counter-drone technology at Fort Bliss, and the FAA was concerned that the tech itself might interfere with other aircraft. Now you sit there and let that sink in. The shutdown may have been because of U.S. military testing, not cartel drones. And the FAA reportedly told the Pentagon they needed 24 hours for a safety risk assessment. But the military went ahead anyway. If that's true, that changes the story completely. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace and the Defense Department disabled them. But Mexico's president publicly said there's no information about the use of drones at the border. And Representative Veronica Escobar said that's federal officials and members of Congress saying they were told something different. Now, let's be fair. Homeland Security testified last year that tens of thousands of drones have flown near the border. They've seized drugs carried by drones. That part is real. But here's the real question. If drone excursions have been happening for years, why was this one treated like a 10-day national emergency? And he's not exactly anti-border enforcement. That's what even Senator Ted Cruz is asking. And he's not exactly anti-border enforcement. This isn't just about drones. It's about trust. When the federal government shuts down the airspace of a major American city and gives conflicting explanations, people lose confidence. Local leaders say they weren't notified, hospitals weren't prepared, airlines didn't even know what was happening. One traveler said American Airlines representatives didn't even know the airport was closed. That's chaos, and chaos breeds fear. Why would this happen? There are only a few possibilities. There really was a serious drone incursion, and the communication was sloppy. The military rolled out new tech and didn't coordinate properly, or the public explanation doesn't fully match what actually happened. We don't know yet, but what we do know is this: don't declare a 10-day shutdown of American airspace casually. That's extraordinary. And then to reverse it within a couple of hours, that's even more extraordinary. Here's what matters. If this was a legitimate security threat, the American people deserve clear facts. If it was technology rolled out that wasn't coordinated properly, that's a serious procedural failure. And if messaging doesn't match internal briefings, that's a transparency problem. This isn't about politics, it's about competence. When you shut down airspace over the US city, you better be able to clearly explain why you did that. Because when explanations don't add up, people start asking those hard questions. And they should. And we should, specifically with this administration. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe. This is AQ. We are trying to get to 10,000 viewers. I'd appreciate the sub. Thank you, and I will be back.